Welcome back, everybody, and hello, I am OzoneB, here at the spot where we turned that zombie spawner into an XP grinder in the last episode. I had intended to do a whole lot more regarding the build that's supposed to go here on top of the spawner, but I got a little long-winded in explaining how the spawner mechanics works. I really hope that that kind of explanation was both useful and entertaining, and that it wasn't boring. But anyway, this episode we're going to move forward with building the church that's going to sit here. But first, we need to do a little planning to get a better idea of where things are going to be laid out. So I've marked out the area where the spawning chamber is of the spawner directly below, and this block represents where the spawner is within that space. It's ringed by cobblestone because that's where the walls of the spawner are. Now we don't have to match up directly on top of the spawner. Oh look, we got company. Anyway, however, I think thematically it works out really well. And I think in terms of just making it easy to plan, it also works out really well. So if this is where the trough is, nope, this is where the trough is that takes the zombies over to our killing chamber over there. The entrance is those two torches. Then this also needs to be marked out because eventually, probably about like right over here, I mean, just a couple blocks away, I want to have the tube that raises up the zombies to come back around and go back into the chamber. And so this needs to be incorporated in the build as a tower or smokestack or something to let the zombies have this space to move around in. If this is the level of the altar, and I think this is where the altar of the church should be, then that means all this dirt needs to be removed. Now, additionally, I think it makes sense to have steps coming up to the altar. So that means I think I've got to remove a couple layers of dirt down below in order to be able to situate the church where we want it. For now, I think I'm just going to start clearing these 2 blocks of this hill away, and that's going to take quite a bit of work as it is. So let's get that done and come back and see where we are. Oh, that is nice. I went back and used all those levels to enchant up a nice shovel. Oh, look at this. That'll make this task so much easier. I have missed this. Okay, well, I have done an awful lot of terraforming and an awful lot of digging out. I've put down polished deep slate here because this is going to be the final floor. Now these 2 steps, I want some steps down out of the altar area into the main walkway where this is going to be the floor, and again polished deep slate in the middle, and then I think I'm going to do some tiles along the side, maybe even some kind of a mosaic pattern. This dirt square is about the size that I think I want the building to be. And I've got the tube to raise the zombies up over here, but I've duplicated over here just to keep the shape symmetrical. Then finally, we've got a little entryway right here as lined out in this cobbled deep slate. But I think, and while this is going to be the area that we walk on, and where the clerics are going to be and the whatnot, I think this might have to come down even more because I feel like you need to have steps going up into the church building itself. So I've already terraformed this back quite far, and we're getting really close to the village. I could bring it back, I could do another 5-10 blocks and stair step it down and do some more terraforming in order to get this dirt to be removed in the end. I think we're going to have to do that. But like I said, I've done a lot of terraforming. So we have already a complete double chest full of dirt from all of that terraforming. And this poor shovel, this shovel has been a workhorse. I have repaired it 4 times already at the cost of many, many levels. But I think it's been worth it. I really like the way this is going and the shape of it and the way it's starting to come together. It's been hard to see where it's going for quite a while. So, but this is starting to work, and let's just keep at it. Some people say that every build has an ugly phase and it gets uglier before it gets prettier. So I'm hoping this is still the ugly phase and we're not going to end up doing all this work for, well, nothing. But anyway, time to keep going. Because I'm running back and forth quite a bit, I decided to go ahead and make a path. I was running into trees and kind of getting turned around, so this is a very simple path, but it does a good job of keeping me going in the right direction. Definitely something we need to come back and do a better job with later, but for right now, it's a help. Well, I think the floor plan is coming together really well. The shape is, not square. I've at least succeeded there. And I've just got to start working on the walls. I feel like, again, this needs a step down. And, I think I'm just going to have to push this whole thing back again. Yeah, yeah. It needs to come down another block. I'm, I'm really, I'm really liking the way it stands out. And I'm just going to have to do some more terraforming. Yeah, this is working. This is working. I wish I had done more recording of time-lapse type fashion so you could see the build in progress, but honestly, I wasn't really sure this was gonna work out. It's really just kind of me playing along, and honestly, this is the point of the series, and this is what I struggle with. I took the area around the base here that was exposed stone and replaced it with dirt. I think that looks a lot better. It gives it, again, some extra dimensionality. I keep using that word. Gives it some extra elevation, and this is definitely going to have to be terraformed a lot more. One of the things that I wanted to put around the church was a cemetery, and there's not a lot of room for that. I think that might have to go off to the side here because, like I keep saying, we are getting pretty close to the village. One of the things that I was planning for is to have these side areas where the clerics can be stationed. Most trading halls cram the NPCs in there, the villagers in there, just one right after the other, after the other, after the other. And this is great when you want to be efficient, but it's not looking natural. It's not looking natural. I think what I want to do instead is to try to keep them contained, but let them wander around. Not they won't have any beds in there because that doesn't make any sense in the church. But I think if we have, say, 3 clerics on one side and 3 clerics on the other side, and like I said, have them trapped in this little side alcove area so that they can wander around but not get out, I think that would look good and give the place a lot of atmosphere. I also want to make some windows, stained glass type windows on each side. I want to have a big stained glass window up here in front of the altar, and maybe, depending, I want this room to be pretty high ceilinged and maybe even go with some flying buttresses off to the side. That's probably too much for this sized build, but it's all part of what I'm thinking. So I think I'm going to get started on that, and we'll come back when we're done. Well, after all that digging, I needed a little break. I wasn't trying to avoid this work at all. Nope, definitely not. Anyway, I went and did some mining. Had pretty good luck. Did some time at the mob grinder, got some levels, and got everything enchanted. The wandering trader also stopped by and got some moss. Another cool find is that while out mining, I found a geode. I didn't do anything at all with it because there was a creeper inside, but it's nice to know that we've got one of those available. I think I might have to use it because I think those purple blocks might do well in this church. But I've been avoiding this, let's be honest. Have you ever had one of those times where you look back on the previous day and think, what on earth were you thinking? That's what happened to me. I got so fixated on putting the doorway over there that it led me to do all that terraforming and digging, and it was a lot of work. I don't begrudge it, but at the same time, I don't exactly think that was the right thing to do, you know? If I had just oriented the doors this way, I think everything would have been a whole lot easier. I could turn it around right now. I think it's worth at least trying. The mob spawner is now, of course, oriented the wrong direction, but that can be fixed too. We could also orient it this way. Either way would work, but if we orient it toward the water, we don't have to move the zombie spawner tube at all. I've marked out some things and studied it from a few different angles. I think it's best to just proceed, but I'm still terrified of doing this. I have an idea about what I want it to look like, but yeah, this is hard. This is really hard. So right now I need to focus on getting the shape right. Like I said, I have an idea of what I want to do, but I need to get the shape right. And I haven't gone into creative for this. I don't guarantee that I won't ever do that, but for this build, I'm not going to. I'm going to spend some time with this dirt, marking out the shape, and let's come back when I'm done and we'll see how I feel about it then. Well, I feel better about where this is going. I've almost killed myself a couple times falling off of all this scaffolding. But anyway, I feel like I'm liking this direction. We've got the main church area here where the clerics are going to be. It's got a very steep roof. The entryway has a much shallower roof, a normal one-step roof. And then we've got the altar area back here, which is a gigantic square. I want to have some big stained glass windows up at the very top here, and I need that to be visible over the roof of the church itself. And then off to the side, we've got two round towers that are going to hold. One's going to be a stairwell so that I can get up here, and the other one's going to be the bubble elevator that brings the zombies up and eventually drops them back down. But overall, I think the shape is coming together well. Now it comes the maybe easier part of just replacing all this dirt with the appropriate stone and trying to texture it all. And yeah, that's not terrifying at all either. But one thing at a time. I think this is really coming together. I'm liking where it's going. Unfortunately, I really underestimated what it's going to take in terms of resources to finish this off. So I had to go do a little mining, and hopefully that's enough. Also, I'd started doing the roof in deep slate, but then I decided that what's even better than deep slate? What do we have a lot of? Copper. I think this would look great on the roof, and so I'm going to redo the whole thing with this. Now, I don't have that many blocks that are oxidized, but I've got quite a few blocks that are ready to be turned. Now, with 118, these things go a lot farther than they used to. Using a stone cutter to cut copper blocks, now you get 4 blocks from 1 block of copper. It didn't used to be that way. And if you try to do the same thing in a crafting table, you use 4 blocks of copper to get 4 blocks of cut copper blocks. So you get 4 times the yield by using a stone cutter with these copper blocks. So I've got 5 stacks of copper blocks. Doing it with the stone cutter, that makes it up to 20 stacks of copper blocks. I think that's going to be enough for the roof. I sure hope so. Anyway, let's get back to a time lapse and do some more building. Just wow. I am really, really liking this build, where it's at and where it's going. To give you a quick tour of where things are. I did this little like yin yang kind of symbol with the red and the orange, and here for stained glass. We've got these side windows, again carrying the red and orange motif through. Um, this interior, man, I am liking where this is at. These building trusses came together real well, and it adds a little bit of light, but I really want this place to be dark and gloomy. And so these three little lanterns don't add that much light. And at nighttime, boy, it does look scary in here. Redstone ore all around, be like blood splatters on the ground. Blends in really nice with the polished deep slate, and I think it's a nice effect. This column of dirt here represents the height from which we need to be dropping the zombies in order to bring them down to one heart to make them just a one punch kill. So that's going to have to get enclosed somehow, and making all of this decoration work is still unknown. The outside of this tower is also looking extremely bland. One of the things that I'm going to have to do throughout the whole thing is fill in these gaps with the little walls, because they help round out the structure in an amazing way. I've done this before on a few builds, and I mean, just look at the difference. This looks much, much more round than it does up there. So I'm going to have to do it all the way up on all sides of the towers, and it will go a long way to rounding out and just defining the shape of the tower. So I will say that I had recently watched a video from BlueNerd Minecraft on roofs, and I feel like it helped me out drastically with this build. I feel like it really came together well, and a lot of that credit goes to BlueNerd Minecraft. So I am going to link his video down below, and you can go watch it yourself. But that's enough exposition for now. We got to get this thing finished. So give me a few, and I'll be right back once we're all done with the details. Church of the Zombies is done. This has been a big build, and you know what? I am really super proud of it. We got a nice zombie face in the stained glass up there, a couple stained glasses in front. Got the side towers all decked out with copper eaves over all the various windows. Oh man, lots of detailing all over the place, including this gradient going up into some regular stone. I felt like copper worked out really well for this. This will be the tube where the zombies drop down. Got some flowing lava back here, which I thought worked really well with the red and orange motif on the sides. Stained glass up front with some flowing lava behind it. Has lots of various levels to it and looks pretty darn cool, I think. So it is done. And honestly, I am really, really happy with how this has turned out, and really proud of this build and the work that I've done. And well, while the build is all done, we still got some work to do to bring life to it. Getting some villagers over here is the next step, and getting those all set up. I said we'd limit it to just clerics, but honestly, after this big project, I'm really missing mending on my gear. So I think we're going to make a few librarians too and turn this into a mini trader hall. Not everybody, but a few things. Anyway, but that's next time. I'm out for now. I'm going to go take a nap. It's been a big grind. So, remember, if you like the video, please subscribe and be excellent to each other. Everybody, take care. I'm out.